I'm Patrick Cappiello from Pearl and Ash Restaurant in New York City. Today we're going to talk about wine gadgets that I think are great to have in your collection. There's a few wine openers out there, and some of them I think work and some don't. I'm going to focus today on the ones that I think are worth having and important to have in your own wine cellar. Basic wine opener, you have to have one. This is also known as a waiter's corkscrew or a wine key. This is a pretty basic one. This one has a double hinge on it, which I like. Some people prefer one that's just got a single hinge. Basically, it's just about the worm. You're gonna screw it in and then lever it out. It's the most traditional and I think the most important wine tool to have though is one of these traditional wine keys. Then you get into wine keys that are designed for when you have wines that have older corks or corks that you're worried about breaking. The most famous way to retract a cork that's a little bit older is called an osso. This is like a prong that basically fits down the neck of the bottle and grips onto the cork, and then you're able to actually remove the cork without screwing into it itself, which keeps the cork in one piece. So an older cork that can be a bit more fragile, using an osso is really the best way to get down on top of the cork and then screw it out carefully without losing any of the cork itself and breaking it. There's another gadget that's somewhere between the two that I think really, of all the kind of new wine gadgets that have been invented, is really one of the coolest. It's called the Durand, and it's basically a mix of the wine key and the osso together. So you're able to actually screw the wine key into the cork, and then after you put your osso onto the cork as well, so you have double protection to make sure that the cork isn't gonna break. For old corks or corks that you're worried about, I think Durand is probably the best device to have. It's pricey, but it's a worthy investment if you're somebody that opens a lot of old wine. But if you run into a problem where a cork breaks or a cork goes into the bottle of wine, there's a great device to retrieve those things. This is a cork retriever. It's kind of a cool device. The prongs on the end, you'll slide into the bottle, and if there's a cork inside the bottle, it'll actually surround the cork, and then you're able to grab it, tighten down on the cork itself, and you'll be able to pull the cork directly out of the bottle. It's really a lifesaver. It also is a great tool to have if specks of cork get on there. You can really get in there with this device and kind of pull out any sort of remains of corks that might be in there as well. So this is a great rescue device. So these are just a few things that I think are good options for wine keys to have or wine openers to have in your collection to make sure that you're able to retract all the corks that you need. I'm Patrick Cappiello, and you're watching Playboy.com.
You want 2 ounces of cheese per guest. If your cheese board is the main event, we want 1 ounce of each cheese with a minimum of 4 cheeses. That's a great place to start.